Yeah, I know that guy.
You got good parking space.
Okay. All right. We don't need those kind of erevin because it's permissible to carry. Yom Tov Shchalios ba'erev Shabbos ein ma'arvim lo rechatzeres lo betchumim afilu minich erev tavshilim. Avol nizka b'yom rishon b'shnei yomim shel golios yochel arvim rechatzeros b'tanai. Avol yu betchumim ein manichin oiso b'yom tov b'tanai. Okay, now we're going to go to Simchas Yom Tov. Mitzvahs Yom Tov lechalko chatzi lebeis hamedrash v'chatzi l'achila v'shtila. The halacha of Yom Tov is supposed to be half ruchnius and half gashmius. Chatzi beis medrash, chatzi l'achila v'shtiya. Val yitzamtzim b'yitzos Yom Tov. A person shouldn't be mitzamtzim in yitzos Yom Tov. V'tzach lechavdoi ula'angoi k'moi Shabbos. You have to be mechabed it, and you have to be ma'anig it like Shabbos. And you're not allowed to eat in the afternoon of Erev Yom Tov, just like Shabbos. This is included of kavod that a person should come into the Yom Tov hungry. Well, I shouldn't say hungry, but not right. Okay. Meal Erev Yom Tov Shabbos Yachol Kaim Suda Shlishis Yachol Mad Pascha Yom Tov. Umitzulolash pas ba'erev Yom Tov l'chod Yom Tov. Kamo ba'erev Shabbos. Kamo she'izbar in Hilchos Shabbos. V'chayev livtzoya al shtei kikaros l'kfor kol suda al yayin. And a person is obligated to have lechem mishnah l'kfor kol suda al yayin. Ubig de Yom Tov yoyser tov mishal Shabbos. And big day Yom Tov are supposed to be nicer than Shabbos. I would just like to ask a question. Why do you think it has to tell us that you have to have lechem mishnah? Yeah, well, there's actually a shaila in the Rishonim, the Gemara in Beitza, Daf Beis or Daf Gimel and Beis, right in the beginning, which discusses what happened on Yom Tov. And it's actually machlekes Rishonim. So this which we have lechem mishnah is taka chiddush. And you have to make kiddush. V'hainu degam be'emtza suda b'vad masha kiddush hayayin betchila k'mo le'inyan Shabbos. V'gam mitzvah lechol basar v'chol zeh miyadam haseges. All these things are if you could afford it. V'isa ba'avodah zara shetiknu l'harvest b'suda b'yom tov rishon shel Pesach u'batzeres u'rosh Hashanah b'yom tov achron shel Chag. And you should have big day Yom Tov mishum dechayiv b'simcha. V'zeo gam kein b'chlal simcha u'pashat l'chol zeh gam kein b'yodem haseges. The Mishnah Berurah has, well, I guess we'll see the Bir Halacha over here. Okay. We don't have Suda Shlishis, and we don't have Suda Shlishis on Yom Tov. The Yom Tov ma'achrim novel beis hakneses u'mar motzes mishum suchas Yom Tov. So we make the davening a little bit later. Okay. Later than you should. It should be late. I guess do like Shabbos is enough. I'd like to learn this Bir Halacha. Val yitzamtzim b'tzas Yom Tov. Avol b'shar yomim tzach odos adam letzamtzim moitzov u'mekar d'isa b'gemara b'zana shalom ketzu b'slom Roshana Pirish Rashi lizor melasas yitziyah meruba shelo yosifu loy ela ma shepasku loy. You shouldn't overspend and empty out your account. V'zeh techacha meruba al zmanenu she'aboneseinu harabim harbe anoshim oivrim al zeh v'yosimu lev ech lisnag b'hitzas beisam laharchik b'dvar amutar means extra things. I'll just share with you something that you could ask your grandparents. If you didn't have money, you don't buy it. Right? That wasn't, right, the way that we exist today, didn't exist. as I say it as a joke, the worst financial situation to be in is to be broke. Because if you have money, you still have money. And if you're in debt, you could always go more in debt. The only place that you have a issue is when you're broke, right? And unfortunately today, we don't have that kind of a discipline for people to be broke. People just are in debt. And V'rabim chalom hipilo anhaga hara azu shemevi es ha'adam lebasav ha'idei lidgezel v'chamas v'gam v'cherpa v'chlima. Not only does a person end up taking things which aren't his, he gets up being embarrassed. V'harbi sibis yesh shegormim lanhaga hara azu. And there are many things that bring about this kind of a life existence. V'siba agadol shebekulam. This is a fascinating line that I'm going to say. You give them the credit card. They have no reason to check out what's in the bank. Okay? You should run your life according to your abilities. What he writes about this. Okay? This is a fascinating thing. I think this should be posted in everybody's house. You know, it's important. The person has to know that you don't have the money, you shouldn't be buying it. Right? I think that's the...
some people claim that in Eretz Israel, things are different. Like, for example, if they want to get the best bracha, they promise in the apartment in Shalom Chesed in Jerusalem, and they go from Gemach to Gemach and Gemach to Gemach, whether they can afford it or not. It's a different Haggah. Those people claim.
First of all, I don't have to answer for all the people and all their claims, but what you just said is that it's in their means. They have means of producing that money.
They just go from one Gemach to another Gemach.
Okay, and then they...
But they don't really make it.
I want to share with you something, okay? I know Reb Chaim Greineman did this, and people did in Yerushalayim. Reb Chaim Greineman worked in Kiruv. He made hundreds of Bali Tshuva, and he was speaking to this guy from someplace by Merkaz Haaretz, and he said, of course all the Jews in Mitzrayim believed. They saw miracles. If I would see miracles, I'd also believe. Right? It's a good taina. So he says, you want to see miracles? Come with me. He took him to Koil Chazanish, and he went to the bench of the people that were 70 years old and older, and he asked them how many kids they had, how much money they spent on chasanas, and how much chayvus they still have. And all of them didn't have chayvus. Now, I don't know if that's called a miracle or not.
Well, do they travel to the U.S. twice a year?
No, they don't. Not the people in Koil Chazanish. They don't. Okay, and now I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying over a story that happened. Okay, now I will just tell. Maybe 20 years ago. 20 years ago is very recent, right? Okay, I don't know. To me, 20 years ago is very recent.
20 years ago, we still thought about it before you swiped your credit card.
What?
20 years ago, you asked them how much it costs. Now they don't need the cash. The person doesn't even tell you. It's like, you're like Irish, right? It's not even how they have to tell you how much it is.
Okay, I'm just telling you that the people, you use that discussion about buying diras for children. All these people in Bnei Brak, they did that, right? And somehow or another, they're post that thing. I know many stories about things like that. I'm not here to sell anybody on anything. I'm just saying you have to live in your means. Okay, that's all. The Chavdul Oile Kabo Shabbos. I Mishnah Berurah chsiv l'chodesh Hashem mechubad v'yom tov gam keinem b'hem v'kroi kodesh v'hinei kol zahu lashon harambam perek vav Hilchos Yom Tov u'lefi zeh ha'mesayim al zeh kra v'chadet al asu d'achacha motzis zeh l'davar davar mavur kol zeh b'simin reish vav v'ezeh chvatzim mutar l'davar b'Shabbos shelo yeh b'dibuch b'Shabbos shal Shabbos ki dibuch shal kol Ve'im kein hu adim b'yontif. The hayakro goy al shneim v'ayin sham. The halacha, this is a fascinating halacha that we need a Mishnah Berurah to discuss this point. Because I'll share with you a fascinating Chasam Sofer in Chubas. The Chasam Sofer in Chubas says that a guy who has a store open on Shabbos, all the things that you do in your store are all an Issa D'Rabbanan. There's no Issa D'Oraisa, Mekach HaMemkar, in change. You're not doing anything which is an Issa D'Oraisa to run a store. And yet, the Chasam Sofer, based on a Ramban in Parshas Emor, says that a person who has a store open on Shabbos is a Machal Shabbos D'Oraisa. So the question is, where's the D'Oraisa? So he says, because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing on Shabbos. The Malachas are the technical part of the Isser, but Shabbos has a certain surah that's supposed to be, and if you're doing other things, you're not living a Shabbos life on Shabbos, then you're Machal Shabbos D'Oraisa. I think so. I think it doesn't say. You're Machal. What? No, it's what choice? It's a D'Oraisa. I'll just get the Ramban. The Ramban is very simple to remember because it's on Rosh Hashanah. On the Yontif of Rosh Hashanah in Emor, what Yontif are we over here? Let's see, so Omer. Here's the beginning. Shoy Chesed. Here it's looks like Rosh Hashanah. Okay, it's probably worthwhile reading this whole thing. Bryce zu shnu be gemor chagiga tani kol malachas avodah leisasu leave it al chol shel moyed she'asu b'asiyas malacha. Do we say Bishu Akiva Omer? Okay. Kol malacha v'shara b'teres kani kol malachas avodah. The tasul hamerish lashon hakasav she'ein la b'yom tov kol malacha ela kol malachas avodah she'shneim l'davar echad kivna she'yom tov also b'chol malachas avodah. V'chilo shamoid einu also b'chol malachas avodah, aval also hu b'chol malacha shonos parish b'Torah. Masa kasu l'chachamim to decide one. V'shmol omer lefi. Okay, Talmud Sheshes Yom Tochal Batu Mashvi Atzeres. Mashvi also Avshishi Atzeres. Mashvi is also Kol Malacha. Okay, she also Kol Malacha. Okay, where does he get it? Magid also Basiyas Malacha. V'nayin lahate bo oichal nefesh. The nearly the avodah tzavosenu is that toirach omol she'adam oived boy acher. When it says avodah, what it means is work. When we lashon avodas aved, ever avodim yila achav, avdo achila oimer, chen avodas okay. V'imkeno ya'esha shamalachas kal shalom oisel ha'noes atzma mutaris al pi she'einu oichel nefesh al ken shom minayin she'het is oichel nefesh and other things. I didn't know say ma in b'makom shein kol avodah derech Yom Tov kol oichel nefesh derech Yom Tov makom shemitz avodah derech Shabbos and then shemitz avodah derech Shabbos. Talmud loymar sheyochel mix avodah derech Shabbos v'mix avodah pirish mix avodah kigol choybos hayom tmin v'sofim. Only those things. Where does he say this? Oh, it says kol malachas avodah hiskir malachas stam v'lo yomer kol malacha kamo shenema b'Shabbos. V'kol malachas avodah magid she'einu muter al malachas eichel nefesh. And someplace in here he says this idea. All right, I'll find a few. Yeah. All right. Anyways, this is the idea that it says over here. Okay. And a person shouldn't eat, and we don't eat shalshudas. Why? Kishtei sudas arbas hashachas chayiv lechol b'hem pas. V'lo ochel b'leil yom tov, ochel b'yom shtei pomim. V'kadosh b'shachris kiddush shel laila. K'mol yin Shabbos v'eish ayin vov. V'hina yesh achad shekasa da'af de'ein noyagim matzos suda shlishus b'pas. Mikol mokom tov sheyochel peiros, you should at least eat peiros. V'yesh achad shemezenes pa'ashamid lechol b'yom tov tav shel lechad yoser b'shachris. Sheyachoshe b'makom sudav. Af agav the b'Shabbos ein mozel le'yin suda shlishis, but a person should at least have an extra portion of something in the morning suda, or eat peiros in the afternoon. Umachim lavo kadei l'troach b'sudas Yom Tov koydem sheyachol beis hakneses. V'ha'idnu shamrecha b'piyutim b'nigudim ben yotze or l'kriyas shema karv levalish yavazan kriyas shema v'tzach lahashkim b'chol Yom Tov kadei likras kriyas shema b'zman haroi. Okay, this is like a fascinating idea that it may ensure they may miss man kriyas shema. For some reason, I don't know why the Mishnah Berurah didn't have a havamim that they would miss man tefillah. I don't know. It's like a shver Mishnah Berurah. Okay? But maybe they'd miss man kriyas shema, so a person has to make sure he says kriyas shema beforehand. All right. I don't think we have to belabor that point. I think that point is something we're very familiar with. Chayv adam li'asmech b'yom tov b'tov lei b'moed hu ishto v'adu b'chol hanilvim elov. All the people that he has are tuffle to him. Ketzad mesamchon k'talim noisnem klois ve'goizim. You give to kids candies. Noshim konem begodim v'tachshitim. Women, you buy for them clothing and jewelry. Kefi memoinoi, as you could afford. V'chayiv l'achal ger yosam ba'almona im shar aniyim. And you chayiv to give aniyim to eat also. Okay? What? Yeah. Okay. I'd say from my most difficult problems with this halacha is, how could Chazal tell me what makes people happy? Why don't you ask them?
It's fine to say you should be happy, but why they did this.
Right, you know, your wife, she would like to have candy. She doesn't want a new dress. So we tell her no. And Beis Yosef said you need a new dress. Right? Okay, so I will just say that there is a lot of discussion on this subject in the early Achronim. I don't really want to get too involved in it. I'm just going to say that it seems that there's more than one din in being with Sameach them. And these things are things which are accepted as the norms. Okay. Adam oichel b'shoysu v'sameach b'regel. A person is supposed to eat and drink and be happy on the Chag. V'lo yimshach b'basar b'yayin u'b'schok v'kalas roish. Why? L'fi she'ein haschok v'kalas roish simcha ela hoilulus v'sichlos. Schok v'kalas roish is no good. V'lo nitztavla ala hoilulus v'sichlos ela al simcha she'yesh boy avodas hayotzer. You have to have simcha that brings about or comes together with serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which that is, I think, a bit of a difficult thing for many people to relate to. You know, they could be happy if it's because it's a mitzvah, but to be happy with the mitzvah is not easy for many people to do. All right, so I just say that person has to find a way to be happy with the mitzvah. You know, I'll just say like some people, they have a nice Dvar Torah that they say. Other people, they eat the food and they eat it. They say they're eating it l'choved Yom Tov. But you have to somehow be connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay. Yes. Okay. I'm going to read the Mishnah Berurah Sifkat and Chof Aleph, because I think that this is the antithesis of modern lifestyle. You should have simcha sheyesh ba avodas hayotzer, midas hachasidim, asher Hashem negda tamid, the people who always see Hashem in front of them, b'chol darcheim yudau, They know HaKadosh Baruch Hu in all that they do. Be'ez simchosam oz yoser v'yoser meshapchim HaKadosh Baruch Hu asher misamchem. The fact that they are happy, that itself is a reason for them to be Mishabech HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, a person understands that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him the affluence to have a yontif meal, or the, whatever it is that he's able to do. He realized Hashem is the one who did it, so then he will have a simcha shel mitzvah. I just say that people don't take the time out to think about what they're doing. I would say, before Yontif, you stop to think, you bought all these things for Yontif. Baruch Hashem, you're able to do that. There are many people for many generations that weren't able to buy what you bought to make Yontif. And you deserve to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for that. That's like a person, when he will have that gratitude, that will bring him to some kind of a simcha in his life. Okay? Now, the next thing is, the next halacha is a fascinating halacha. Chayavim bezdin lahamid shaitrim beragolim v'yos m'shaititin u'machapsim beginus parnesim al-anoros shlo yiskapsu sham lecho v'lishtois anoshim v'noshim v'yavol de avera. Now, this is what is called nowadays hanging out. Is that the proper term? How do you say that in Hebrew? There must be some Hebrew term for that, right? Anyways, and people should be holy. All right. Now, this is obviously, the Mishnah Berurah says these are something which a person has to be on the lookout all the time. But the times of Simcha is especially prone for people to be relaxed. If people are relaxed, they could come to do Averis. This is why we have Tat Bahab. Because people, after Yom Tif, they have to do Tshuva because many times they didn't act appropriately. Okay. We're going to start Chelik Beis, Simin. Yeah. Okay, we can bring it in.